today I have been asking for this presentation, I think for the last 6, maybe even 7 months. I was like, I want to do a video where we talk about all these tools that Peplink has to offer for managing your ecosystem. And because we have more than just InControl stuff that we can't even show today, there's just so many tools out there for different skill levels or different security levels. And I really wanted to be able to show that off. And so today's webinar is really about the tools we use to manage Peplink ecosystem. And that's going to be the router UI. Let's see what the next slide is here, because it might have it. The router UI. Nope, okay, it's just InControl. Okay, so we have like the router UI, InControl, an old tool that Travis and I were laughing about, the router utility before InControl was even out. And then we have like the SFC app, and we have the InControl app, and we have the SFC cloud, and we have the pool manager. And so we wanted to like introduce these tools as a single webinar. So anybody new to the ecosystem, or anybody that's just going, how do I manage all of my devices? How do we do it? How does Professor P do it? How do MSPs manage thousands of users or customers all over the world? And this is how we do it. And so kind of giving a little back-end access here, but also something that is close to home for Travis and I, because it's something we've seen develop from the InControl 1 with the PepWave APs all the way to, an entire SD-WAN ecosystem. And so thank you for joining me, and I'm really excited to have this webinar today. You're muted.
Yeah, I think this is a fun one because there's just so many different perspectives out there in terms of people using Peplink. Like you said, there's individual RVers that have a single router and they are in their RV using it, and we have the biggest companies in the world who have thousands and thousands of Peplink routers. And so the way that each of those different people uses our products is different for sure, and we've got different tools for those different people, and it's a little bit hard to kind of process all the different things out there when you look at it all at once. But again, it's different tools for different people, and kind of how you're looking to use our devices. So yeah, let's dive in.
Yeah. So InControl 2 is obviously the core of our stuff, and it's actually InControl 2 is what a lot of our other tools use to connect. And so InControl 2 is our centralized management platform for VLANs and outbound policies and firewalls and all of our devices, our APs, our switches, and it's like an extension of our Peplink web admin, our local web GUI. But then it allows us to manage a bunch of devices and push configurations. And I think that's really important about Peplink. We are pushing a configuration to a local device. So if the InControl cloud goes down, your device maintains that configuration. And so that means we're going to have increased reliability, increased cloud stability, and really allowing for different security models. There are some companies that say, hey, we can't have stuff connecting to the cloud, but we want your SD-WAN. That's not a problem for us. We have the tools to manage those routers. We also have the GUI, the web GUI, to be able to play with those routers and configure them as if, not as convenient as InControl, but being able to do that all in one place. And so InControl 2 really just ties everything together and becomes a centralized reporting and management and pushing configurations capability. Now, there are some things in InControl that are cloud dependent. I'll say is we have some databases. So we have some SaaS applications that the big databases of like Microsoft and Google and things like that. So if you want to do SaaS-based policies or firewalls, you need to be connected to InControl. And then we have regional capabilities. You can say, allow, and this is a US-based webinar, so I'm not insulting any country here, but you say allow US but block other countries, or if you're in Europe, allow Europe and block other countries, etc. But the idea is those regional databases and those SaaS databases, those are managed inside InControl. The other thing that InControl brings that is cloud dependent is our content filtering database. So if you're using our content filtering on the routers to get those updates on whenever they're pushed down, you have to be connected to InControl or on InControl to receive those updates. Otherwise, you'll get whatever database is just stored on the router when it ships. And I'm saying all this right, right, Travis? I mean, so far, okay. And so there are things that need InControl for enhanced capabilities, but the core functionality of every router can actually be cloud independent. And so that's the whole purpose of this webinar, is to show you these tools and capabilities we have to help users manage the routers and program them. An example, like with simplified management, is using InControl 2 and SpeedFusion, we can basically create a zero-touch configuration on the VPN or the SpeedFusion connectivity, which allows us to manage a lot of sites from a single pane of glass. It's really clean and easy, but you can have InControl 2, you have the web admin that you can log into those devices, and then we have SpeedFusion Connect for outbound policies and bonding. So last mile, a lot of people call that like last mile connectivity, right? If you're connecting up to your headquarters, you have dual fiber lines and you want resiliency on those dual fiber lines, you can use SpeedFusion Connect to make your voice and video applications is really reliable, even redundant across those highly reliable connections. Then we have PeplinkID. So Peplink uses PeplinkID to basically to unify connectivity or unify access to all of its different tools. And so one of the things that I actually didn't know until this webinar, I've seen it, but I've just never really paid attention to it, was PeplinkID.peplink.com. And PeplinkID, if you go to PeplinkID.peplink.com and then you log in with your username and password, it takes you to this page. And this page is really cool because it gives you can just go to the partner pavilion if you're a Microsoft, if you're a Peplink partner, or you can go to the training if you want to enhance your training. You can log into the forum or the ticket system. Then you can access InControl or SpeedFusion.com, SpeedFusion Connect, or what we call SFC.peplink.com, or even the eStore for licenses and renewals and things like that. And so all of these things are tied together, including the InControl app and the SFC app that I'll show you shortly, are all tied into your PeplinkID. And so I am going to give you a little bit of tips and tricks on that as well with the PeplinkID for securing that account. And you can see here that you can click on these and launch these apps or different web portals and access these systems, and it's all integrated into this single platform. Then we have the InControl app. The InControl app pulls some of the functionality of InControl to your device. Really, what's really powerful about this is notifications. If you enable notifications in InControl, and then you have the InControl app, those notifications come right into your phone, and then you can click right on a device and pull up those statistics almost instantaneously. And it's very powerful. For using the InControl app for configuration is not as powerful as InControl, and I'll show that. But for notifications, status reporting, that is where I live in that. Being able to see, WAN failed at the site. Let me click on that real fast. In seconds, you're just clicking, you're pulling up the device, you're looking at that WAN health, those WAN health settings. And so the InControl app takes InControl and all of its configuration capabilities and brings reporting and status and notifications right to your phone. It does have some configuration capabilities, but we're going to keep it to reporting and status for the purpose of my training. I find that to be what it's really good at.
I know a lot of people would just love the remote web admin.
Yeah. So remote web admin, which I'll show off, is exactly, you click it, you can see it, and you go boom, remote web admin, and you're right into it.
Yep.
Then we have the SFC app, and this, when it first launched, I was really confused by, and then I saw how neat it is for the consumer, and I really do see it that way. This is, say you are an RVer or a work from homer, or you're just a small business, or just have one or two routers that you just want to be able to have, and you don't want to deal with all those configuration capabilities and InControl and the complex web UI. The SFC app basically creates a zero-touch SD-WAN configuration capability. Instead of creating SpeedFusion tunnels between your locations, you're connecting to SpeedFusion Connect Protect. You're bonding your cellular or your cable modem with your cellular, and you can create the different types of connections, like bonding, jitter-free connectivity, like WAN smoothing, and then just making it as fast as possible. And so you have like it's really simple, intuitive, and easy to configure. But I wouldn't recommend it for anybody using SpeedFusion or with an enterprise or business where they want to fine-tune firewall policies and outbound policies and things like that. This is really designed for your RVer, your SMB that has 1 or 2 sites, and they're just trying to simplify the management and using SpeedFusion Connect with potentially the SpeedFusion Connect LTE service slash 5G service, because you can re-up that and see that right from the SpeedFusion Connect app. And I think we did a webinar on SpeedFusion Connect, didn't we?
We did, yep.
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about this particular app, you should definitely check out the SFC app video where I actually loaded up 10 gigabytes. We set up my Balance 20X. This is my SFC Balance 20X, and I kind of keep that on there so I can play around with it. And I loaded that up with some SFC LTE data, and brought it online, set up a Wi-Fi. And so it's just nice because you log in and you can see here, I've got 1 wired WAN, 1 cellular WAN. I've got 1 wired LAN device right now connected to that device. I've got 2 Wi-Fi devices. I've got 100 gigs of SFC bonding. I've got 10 gigs of 5G LTE, and so you can pull this up. You can update the router firmware just by clicking that upgrade available right there. If you have more than 1 router, you can actually go to the little menu bar, go to routers, and then actually choose those routers. So it's really easy to select. But can you imagine having like 30 or 40 routers? This would be really complicated. That's what you kind of want to switch back to InControl. But a few routers, it's very nice. You can see quickly your SFC Protect and your SFC LTE 5G data. And then you can go into your SpeedFusion settings and easily say, hey, my Zoom calls, I want to be bonded, or I want to be jitter free. And so you can do those outbound policies, which we have another YouTube video on outbound policies. And you can use this intuitive GUI to basically create outbound policies. And it just simplifies that. And then you can actually purchase plans right from the app. So you can re-up your SFC Protect and your 5G/LTE right within the app. It launches up the SFC e-store, and you can just simply purchase more data. And then you have a simplified report viewer that then allows you to monitor your data and usage. And so I find for anybody that's really kind of in the RV market, the only thing that I think that this needs, which I believe is coming, is Wi-Fi WAN. A lot of people in the RV world, they need Wi-Fi WAN. And unfortunately, when you add a router to this right now, you lose the ability to do Wi-Fi WAN. And so I believe it's already been reported and it's coming soon. But that would be, if you are an RVer and you're heavy into the Wi-Fi WAN, do not use this app yet, because that is not currently available. You'd want to stick with the router utility or the InControl or just the web UI. The router utility, this is pre-InControl. I used this for years before InControl came out. And it was my only means of connecting. And it was so hard, because I'd have 400 or 500 devices, and you have to VPN into the devices and log them up, or you have to have them all going back to like a Fusion or like a centralized router, and then you can connect to those IPs. So if you have a corporate network and you're connecting like a hub and spoke environment, you can VPN into the main router, and then you get the status of all of those routers that you have. But or you can connect into the WAN, so put in the public IP address, username, and password, and then access all those routers. But the router utility is not an uncloud connected. You're literally logging right into that router via an IP address, username, and password. There's no cloud broker. So you have to be able to reach that router, whether that's connecting to a VPN and using a LAN IP address, or enabling the WAN IP address access on this router, on the routers that you want to connect to.
Yeah, definitely an old tool, but for certain use cases, I could see maybe using this still.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was fun for me because I haven't used it since InControl 2, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to have hundreds of routers in my router utility, and I'd have it by customers. So I'd have all my, customer 1, customer 2, customer I'd use L2TB VPN on my phone, and then I would connect into that customer's hub router, and that would bring up all their routers, so I could quickly see all of the routers that they had. I know some people connect right into the WAN interface, but there's some security concerns, having the WAN UI just open. But I've seen other people that just simply have all of them connected via WAN, and you can see the status right there from the internet as well. And now I'm going to show these off. So kind of quick overview. This is a really simple webinar, actually. So first off, I'm going to show off PeplinkID. So if you just go to PeplinkID.peplink.com, you sign in. You can literally click on any of these items that you have authorization, or if you're not a partner, that's obviously, well, I guess I would launch your customer portal, but like I can click on this and it's going to load up InControl, or I can go to this and then sign right in, and so it gives you all the access that you need, and you're signed in. You don't have to worry about it. And so it's really a nice place just to, if you don't know what you're looking for, you can go right into PeplinkID.peplink.com. So the next thing is the web UI, and I'm gonna kind of cheat. I'm gonna use InControl to show off the web UI, just because my corporate router, and I want to use my Peplink University router. So we're going to do a pretend here. Let's just pretend I'm typing in 192.168.50.1 in the top address bar. So if you're locally connected or on a VPN or connected to your device, in the address bar, you just go into 192.168.50.1 or whatever the IP address is of the router you're connecting to, and then you can log into the web UI. The web UI, as you just saw, can also be accessed via InControl, which is very, very nice. But this is actually something I really, before InControl, before the router utility app, this is what made me fall in love with Peplink. It really is. I mean, before they had bonding, before SpeedFusion existed, the ability to just log into this UI, and at least for my intuition, this design made the most sense of any router I've ever logged into, and to this day, I believe it still does. On the dashboard, it gives you your status. I can see what my connections are. I have my interface priorities. So you can see I've got my highest priority, my priority 2, my priority 3, and then disabled. If I drag something down into priority 3, then priority 4 will become an option as well. I've got my LAN, my router interface IP. I've got my Wi-Fi. I can turn it on or off and go to a status. I have my SpeedFusion Connect Protect in the status, how many terabytes I have free, when it expires. And then I have my overall system status, what firmware I'm running, how many days it's been online, CPU load, temperature, power, like my AB and terminal block, what my throughput is. Like from a troubleshooting and tech support scenario, that gives me almost everything I need to be able to see. The next is just what the performance of those guys are. And then you move over a tab. I've got my SFC Protect. I can quickly and easily configure my bonding and then route by application, create an SSID or a LAN client. And then I go to my network and I have my WAN and my LAN configuration. That's my network. And so I can configure my VLANs and my DHCP options, outbound static routes, not outbound policies. I configure my ports for my VLANs, access ports and trunk ports. I configure my WANs. I can enable, if I go to WAN down here, I can scroll down. I can enable IPv6 on a WAN. I can enable DNS over HTTPS or WAN quality monitoring, Synergy controller, Starlink. So if I have a Starlink plugged into WAN 1, I can click this, choose WAN 1, hit save, and it's going to monitor WAN 1 for Starlink. That, by the way, is beta 4. So if you have running 8.3, you won't see that. But it's just, to me, it's like I have my dashboard, I have my network, and then I have my advanced features. And advanced features, I've got my connections. So I've got my SpeedFusion, IPsec, GRE, OpenVPN, and then my outbound policies or traffic shaping. And then I have my port forwarding. Then you have NAT, you have your edge compute, you have your quality of service, your firewall, your routing protocols, VPN options, and then miscellaneous settings. And so you just work your way from the network tab to the advanced tab and work top to bottom and program it. And it's like, to me, that makes sense. And I've always appreciated that about Peplink, how simple that is. And by the way, I've got 1 hour to do a whole bunch of tutorials. So I'm literally shoving this down your throat. I have an entire 1 hour video just on InControl 2. But what I'm trying to do is showcase the utilization and capabilities of these different apps as quickly as possible and give myself just a few minutes per app. I hope that's okay, Travis.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that, I mean, then you have your AP controller. So if you have a whole bunch of access points or you want to set up your SSIDs, we have an AP controller built in. And then under system settings, you can configure, like, do you want to allow it to report to InControl, your SMS controls, which by the way is really cool. SNMP, event log, email notification, you set up specific times. And then we have these tools. And it's funny, these tools seem so simple, but I had a customer that was blaming about latency to a Fusion Hub. And they're like, oh, this, the Peplink is not functioning right. Well, I went to the trace route, did a trace route between the Peplink's WAN interface and the Fusion Hub. The first hop was 70 milliseconds of latency. I was like, well, that should be like 0.5 milliseconds. I mean, there's a fiber cable or an Ethernet cable going from your WAN to the gateway to your ISP. And if that's taking 70 milliseconds, there's a problem. And so traceroute shows you where the performance is along your internet path from one destination to the other. And it's such a simple tool, but it's incredibly valuable, especially when you're talking about multiple internet connections. And then WAN analysis. If you've never seen this tool, I've got a YouTube video on it. Incredibly powerful tool for monitoring the performance of all your WANs. All built right into this web GUI that is not required for any cloud connectivity. You don't have to have InControl. You don't have to have, literally just log right in and you can access these tools.
Speaking of that, click on the InControl tab there on the left.
I will.
I like to show this because, to your point, you can set this up for absolutely zero cloud connectivity. If
yeah, so you can.
Some people are very sensitive on that, and there's good reasons for that. And you can disable all of that just right there.
Yeah, so you go to InControl, you can disable, and you can also restrict to status reporting only. Status reporting only. If I hit click apply changes, I will no longer have remote web access. Literally, it just reports the health of the device to InControl, and that's it. You have no other access, no configurations. It can't push firewall policies or content or outbound policies or SpeedFusion profiles or anything. And then you also, if you have a private IC2, or you can actually click that and then put in the IP address or host name of your private IC2 as well. So once again, real quick, not a web UI training, more of a just an overview of that capability. Next, I wanted to show off InControl. So we have the web UI to manage multiple devices or centralize the management of multiple devices. And so we have our dashboard. So you can see the status. This device is online. Here's my name, any tags associated, how Wi-Fi is configured. It's configured at the group level, which means Wi-Fi is being provisioned here at the group level. The product, how long it's been online, what my internet connections are. So you can see I have 2 cellular connections and 2 Ethernet connections. So I've got 2 Ethernet devices connected and then 2 cellular devices connected. My firmware, which has become really important lately. My Wi-Fi channels, my usage, the number of clients, my firmware for the actual router, and then the last time a configuration was applied. But you can also customize that. So if you go to column customization right here, you can actually select a bunch of different things. So if you're using SpeedFusion Connect, I can select that, hit OK. And now I can see the status of my SpeedFusion Connect, which we'll propagate here in a minute. There it goes. And so you can see my SFC is. So if you can customize these columns to fit your needs. Then if you click on the device, I now get a better view of this device, and it's very similar to that other dashboard. I can see I'm pulling 2 PoEs. These are actually my VWANs that are powering my BR1 minis that are my 2 Ethernet WANs. And you can see right there, VLAN is WAN 1 and VLAN is WAN 2. You can see my SpeedFusion Connect established, what routes I know about, my InControl detected IP address, CPU load temperature, just like you would get in that router dashboard. But if I go back to the SpeedFusion Rebel and I'm at the group level, I can configure my SpeedFusion settings. I can configure my Wi-Fi SSID settings, my radio settings, my output power. I can configure outbound policies, traffic shaping, and I can, like I said, use that regional and that SaaS space. I can say Zoom use SFC protect, WAN smoothing, but my video broadcast use SFC forward error correction. And so you can use outbound policies to shape that traffic. You can create firewall rules, and you can create firewall rules by SaaS applications, by region, or by standard source and destination and protocols. We can create grouped networks, which is groups of IP addresses that allow you to simplify IP management. So you can create a group of servers and say, and then on access control list, which is a group of MAC addresses, you can say, here's authorized PCs. And you can say, these authorized PCs can talk to these servers, and it becomes centrally managed. So you could have 400 sites with a group of 300 servers and 8,000 laptops, and then basically it doesn't matter which site they're at, the access control list database is being centrally managed, and it's not going to allow access. You can then manage your VLANs, your routes, your LAN network settings, route advertisement, OSPF and BG, or OSPF, not really BGP on this, on the route advertisement, but OSPF and RIP. You can set up your captive portals, and then you can create connection test reports. This is how you can actually tell it, hey, every morning at 7 a.m., speed test my network, and then tell me if it's less than 10 megabits, or if you have, a gig circuit, tell me if it's less than 800 megabits per second, or whatever it might be. And then you can get a report that shows you the pass and fails of your network. All from within InControl 2, you can manage this. You can then centrally see all your clients. You can click on this and see all the clients. And then you can go into our reporting, which is incredible. So we have like device reports, Wi-Fi reports, usage reports, SIM card reports, which is awesome. Captive portal dashboard reports, captive portal reports, connection test reports. So those reports, the connection tests run, you can view the connection test reports there. Centralized event log across to all of your devices. And then you can see all your tags and where those tags are being deployed. And then you have your settings. The settings is overall capability. So you can see I've got my device management. So which devices are there, and add or remove those devices, add devices. Device IP settings, literally IP address management for all of your LANs and your VLANs. Complicated, super powerful. I did a project where we deployed like, and I just created an Excel spreadsheet with all the serial numbers, the subnets, and then put in all the settings, import it there, literally brought the routers online, boom, they all got programmed in a matter of seconds. It was really cool. System management allows you to configure the device password, randomly generate passwords for device. So it allows you to push PCI DSS compliance, change the username, disable the guest user account, set up the portal, the web at the port and protocol, the VLANs that can access the device. So it's about how the device can be accessed and what the device is able to do. Certificate management is what it is. Captive certificate control options allows you to lower down how much bandwidth is being consumed. Notifications allows you to send notifications, and you can make multiple notification tabs. So you can say, hey, I want notifications going to my IT team on a router up and down, but I want a notification going to my finance team if I consume too much bandwidth. So if I get 90% of my my bandwidth used for my AT&T, it's going to email the finance team and make sure they update or check that account. Report emailing allows you to send reports daily, monthly, and weekly about the health of your network. Firmware policy allows you to centrally manage firmware, so you can push out and update all your routers at one time. Device schedule, which we showed you on the device on the web UI, allows you to actually set a schedule and turn on and off features or assign tags. So I literally, like it's kind of a funny joke that goes around if you've been around me enough. We own an ice cream store, and so the ice cream store is open from noon to 9 or 10, and the Wi-Fi is on from noon to 9 or 10, whatever day it is. And then outside of those scheduled, the guest Wi-Fi shuts down, so people can't walk up and just try to get into my Wi-Fi network at night. Geofencing allows us to do geofencing and tagging and turn on and off Wi-Fi. So another good example that we've always used is that we have our SpeedFusion fleet vehicles. When they're in the parking lot, they get tagged as in office, and then the Wi-Fi gets shut off. That way, they're not broadcasting Wi-Fi, and my employees don't accidentally use the Starlink or the cellular network. They're using our Wi-Fi network in our office. And then bulk configure allows you to push one configuration to a bunch of devices. So if you have like a BR1 Mini or BR1 Pro 5G and you want to deploy it to 1,000, you want the same config to 1,000 devices, configure one device, save the configuration file, upload it to bulk configurator, and say assign it to bulk tag or whatever tag you want to assign. And literally you can import 1,000 devices, assign them the bulk configuration tag, whatever tag you assign to that. And then when those devices come online, they will get that config. If someone makes a change, it'll revert back to that config. So it allows you to ensure compliance of your devices. And then add delivery service. That is only based on subscription. It won't show up. Everybody won't have that. ad delivery services. Peplink's really cool capability to add ads to captive portals and Wi-Fi. The speed, and then group settings just is like usernames, passwords, who's allowed to access the group, and things like that. But all of that centrally manages all of your devices at one time. And so you can have, I have like Peplink University is my org. And then inside the org, I have all my groups. And these are different projects that we're working on, or training scenarios we're working on within Peplink University. So we have like my SpeedFusion Patriot, Rebel, and Renegade. Those are our 3 RVs. We have like, BR2 case. I'm testing some new BR1s, PDX, EPX case, so anytime I'm testing stuff, I throw it into Peplink University and make a video about it. And so that's at the organization level. We have organization reports, organization settings, organization centrally managed SpeedFusion across groups. And then you can go into that group like the Rebel, and then you have those settings, and then you go into the device, and then you have device level settings. So you can have device level reports, device level SpeedFusion, device level Wi-Fi clients, and then the settings. And that lets you remote web admin. So if you go into device, HD4 MBX 5G settings, remote web admin, then you can log into that device remotely. So, so that's InControl in a 10-minute nutshell. Like I said, I have a full hour training on my YouTube, Peplink University YouTube channel, and you can it's my Peplink University playlist under West Networks, and then you can watch the full 1 hour training. But I want to be able to get through all of this today. Next, I have the SpeedFusion sfc.peplink.com. sfc.peplink.com lets you manage SpeedFusion Connect related stuff. So this is SFC Protect and SFC LTE. So I can see here's that HD4 MBX 5G, that's Peplink University and the Rebel. I have 2.5 terabytes of SFC Protect. I have 0 SFC 5G LTE. So if I wanted to, I could select on that, and I could actually buy or assign data by a pool, and assign it to this device. And so what's really cool, can I talk about pool data for a second, Travis? It's sort of a little offset, but
yeah, go for it.
So what's really cool now is Peplink now has pooled SFC LTE data. And so you can buy a 1 terabyte pool, and it is only assigned, I believe, to an organization, right? It gets pushed to an org. And then from that org, you can actually assign data to devices. So now you can buy 1 terabyte of SFC data. If you have 150, 250, whatever devices, or one, and well, I've got more than one in my org, but you can assign data to that group. And so that's under SF 5G pool management. And you can see here's my Peplink. I don't have any pool data. I did try to buy some for this training, but I don't know if I have to refresh it or not. But I did try, and then you could basically add devices to a pool. So under pool management, once you have your pool, once you subscribe, this would say I've got 1 terabyte or whatever I bought available, and then I could add my SpeedFusion Rebel, and then it would then have that data. And then you have your auto top up. So it's basically it's going to add 500 megabyte increments, and it's going to top up once you hit below 100 megabytes. And that way it's basically assigning data to each of these SIM cards or each of these devices without consuming. You don't have to buy, hey, I'm going to buy a 10 terabyte plan for this router and a 5 terabyte plan for this router and a 1 terabyte plan for this router. I can just buy the data for the organization and then have it automatically top up those routers at my configured amount. And Travis, I don't know if you want to talk more to this, but
yeah, the big difference, I think you just said it there, is you're not paying per month for each SIM card for each router, right? You're pooling the actual usage across however many you have, and you just buy that 1 bucket of data, and everybody gets to use off of that. So it's a different format, right? It's a different model altogether than what people are used to for buying data. They're used to paying per month per SIM, and then on top of that, having some sort of either pooled or per SIM limit. And so, yeah,
I am refreshing just to see if it loaded. So I paused my screen sharing just for a second. Sure. No, it has not loaded yet. Okay. So anyways, I did try to buy it for this session, but just hasn't pulled in yet. But okay. And so yeah, so anyways, but you just click the little add here, and you can buy data, and then it'll process through the backend system, and then it'll show up. But it's really, really nice because you no longer have to buy data per device. You can buy data for your entire org and just to auto set it up. So we also have our mobile apps, and I downloaded this Cast program. So hopefully this works today. So I've got my my little phone here. So the first app, so we've got 3 apps that we have on the phone. We have your InControl app, your router utility, and the SpeedFusion Connect app. So if I look at the router utility, I've added my router. This is actually my router to my Wi-Fi network, because once again, you have to be connected or accessible. So I have my SDX. I can click on the SDX. I can see I've got my Cox cable in standby. I've got some SpeedFusion profiles, my LAN interface. I can pull up and I can see if I have SpeedFusion Connect. It looks like I can set up SpeedFusion Connect. I could say automatic and hit save. System information, event log, so I can see my event log and see what's happening there. I can pull up a client list and see all the devices that are connected. And then I've got this settings, and I can enable, this router will not send notifications. So the default is to send notifications, but if you don't want it to send, you can turn that on. And so it's a pretty simple tool, but it gives you access to easily manage your routers if you don't want to use InControl. Then we have the InControl app. So if I pull this up here, once again, here's my SpeedFusion Rebel. I can go back to the Peplink University and I can see all my different groups that I showed you there. And so there's my SpeedFusion Rebel. So I can click on that. There's my HD4 MBX 5G, but I have my event log, so I can see what's going on there. I have my clients, and I can see the clients connected to the Rebel. It's probably just the Samsung TV, but and then I can see it online, offline. I can click on the HD4 MBX 5G. I can see that there. I can swipe over and go to my network, and there's my connection. So there's my VLAN as WAN, my cellular 3, cellular 1. I can show disabled connections and see all the interfaces right there. So there's USB 1 and 2. There's my VLANs, my Wi-Fi WANs, my WAN 1 and WAN 2. There's my LAN interface. And so what you're seeing is really good reporting, right? I can quickly see the status. But one of the most powerful capabilities here, if I remember how to do this, do you remember how to do this? How do I, tools. So if I go to tools, I can reboot the device. I can turn off my wireless LAN. I can turn on and off remote assistance, or I can launch remote web admin. And that's going to bring up the remote web admin inside this app, so I can quickly log into this device via the app and do advanced troubleshooting. So the app gives me status, and then I now have InControl 2 the router web UI right inside the router utility. So I'm not having to like additional authentication. I don't have to worry about extra access. I don't have to worry about remembering a whole bunch of passwords on my my browser. It's all right here, and I can pull up this router and I can see everything that the web UI has. I now have that full control from the InControl app. Did I miss anything on that, Travis?
No.
Okay? I just want to make sure I got that covered. But I love this app. It runs on, I've got my production phone, I've got my lab phone that I'm using for this video. I run the InControl app. I love the notifications that it provides and that quick status. I don't have to wait for the web UI to load. If I'm out in the world, I can simply just see what's going on with my devices. And it really allows me to provide really great tech support, as well as just peace of mind that my network's running. And then we have the SFC app. And we talked about that a little bit earlier. I've got, basically, and the screenshots pretty much gave you everything. So I'll quickly, just because I've got it up, and I like this screencast feature. But I got my 20X. You can see I'm running the latest firmware. Right now the router is offline, but I've got my WANs, my LANs, my Wi-Fi. I can see that I've got 1.1 terabytes of SFC Protect available. I've got 9.4 gigabytes of 5G available, but it's expiring soon. So it's saying, hey, view plans, go ahead and update that if you want. And that's why I wanted to show this, is because, if it's not always easy to know when you have these, Soho devices, especially if you're doing a big work from home initiative. You can manage that data right there. I can choose my cloud location. Right now I just do auto, so it's auto connecting to Dallas. I can choose my apps and then program how they're being protected. So you can see Dropbox is going to Dallas because it's auto. Exchange goes to auto. FaceTime is not. So I can choose FaceTime and say, configure cloud location, auto, hit save. And now FaceTime will be protected by SpeedFusion Protect. I can choose Google Meet. By the way, these are new, they've been added recently. And I can say auto and hit save. And so you can see how easy it is to program an outbound policy based on a SaaS application. I just did FaceTime and Google Meet in a matter of like 9 seconds. And I didn't need any programming. I didn't need any web UI. I didn't need to know how to do outbound policies or how to log in. I simply just went to the SpeedFusion tab and selected the apps. And what's really cool is as Peplink adds more apps, they just show up here and you can protect those apps. And I find that to be a really cool feature. I really do. And then it even tells you SpeedFusion protection is ineffective. 2 WAN connections are required. So it's saying, hey, you only have 1 cellular modem connected to this thing. That you're really kind of not doing anything, right? You need to plug in another cell modem, or you need to plug in Ethernet or Wi-Fi WAN or something like that. And if you click on digital devices, you can actually pull up the devices, and then I can protect your laptop. So I can say, hey, I want my laptop to use SpeedFusion Connect, because a lot of times, especially with SpeedFusion Connect, it might block Netflix or Hulu and things like that. So you can just select your laptops, have it protected, but your smart TV or your Amazon Fire or whatever it might be, just let it do load balancing. That way you don't get blocked by, that you're on a VPN. And then you have your reporting capabilities. So you can pull up your reports, and it's going to give you your WAN quality reports and your data usage reports. And then you can pull up your users. And this is kind of neat. This is users. So like, here's me. I could hit invite user, type in Travis at peplink.com, and then Travis then has SFC app, and then he can log in. And so I can share this with other people. And I find that to be so it's just a really nice Soho consumer version of almost like a lightweight version of InControl in a sense.
Yep. And that's, I think you hit it right on the head. We're trying to give an end user a powerful, centralized, simple management tool that doesn't go into all the weeds, but lets them do the big things quick and easy. So that's where it's at right now. And there's going to be a lot more effort put into that app. And I think you'll start to see more merging of the tools too, or maybe not merging, but more compatibility between them. So if you've got like a managed service provider that has 1,000 customers, they can start enabling more control for their end users to have the ability to prioritize these apps or change their Wi-Fi network, right? Start to let them use InControl to manage the big settings, but let the user control the little settings. So
exactly.
More and more, you'll start to see us move in that direction, I believe, with this app. But again, really focusing on that end user experience being simple, easy to understand, and powerful for that audience being the goal.
And it is really easy to add a new device. So if you go to select router, click the plus, and then you can put in the serial number. It's like right there. And then if you click the supported models, these are the currently supported models. And so that's also important to understand, is that and once again, this app is being updated. We're adding more, more support models are coming soon. But right now it's your BR1 Mini Hardware 3, the BR1 Pro 5G, the BR1 Pro LTE, 20X, the BR2 Pro 5G, Transit Duo Pro, and UBR Plus. And so those are the only apps or routers supported by this SFC app right now. But if you ever want to see if your router model has been added, you can just check there and see if it's been added. I think that covers all the tools, right, Travis? Router utility,
Yeah.
web UI, InControl app, SFC app, InControl, SFC.peplink, PeplinkID, and pool management. So I think we've got. There are some other things that are outside the scope of this conversation, but that's pretty much the tools. Let's see if we have any questions here. Question from someone said, will private hosted InControl get these database updates? Yes. if you're running a private version of InControl, you can download the updates and you get the features as well. It's just a little bit behind the production updates, but you can reach out to your partner and get that. And let's see, so even if it draws up automatically. Oh, I don't know. That's a question for Travis. Travis, Jacob asked if we're using the pool management, is there a way to set a cap so a particular router can only pool so much?
I think you would probably set that in that router, like the, the SIM.
Oh yeah, you could set the SIM cap.
Yeah.
Where it shuts off after 100 gigs.
That's my knee-jerk answer on that one.
Yeah,
but,
we'll have to research that one, Jacob. That's a good question.
Yeah.
We'll have to, once I get my pool activated here on Peplink University that I bought, I'll actually check that and play with it. Maybe I'll release maybe Travis and I can do an off-grid pool manager video,
That's a good idea.
just a training video on pool management, and we'll actually pay for it, activate it, and play with those features.
SSC
apps in the app also available through InControl outbound policy. So Richard asked a question. I don't actually try and figure out, are the SFC apps in the app also available through InControl outbound policy? So on InControl, if I go to my SpeedFusion Rebel and I go to outbound policy, and I can create a rule, add a rule, and I could say if my destination is SaaS, and then I'm going to get all those same apps right there.
Yep.
And so there's like Google, Zoom, Zscaler. Actually, that's actually not listed on the other one. Exchange. And so you can choose your apps like Zoom and Google and WebEx, and then I can say connection, priority, SpeedFusion, SFC. And then now, basically, if the source is any, the destination is Zoom, Google, or WebEx, go out the SFC as a priority. And then I can say, hey, if that's non-existent, what do you want to do? Drop it or just fail through the next rule? And then if the SFC app, SFC VPN is established, go ahead and move that traffic back over or don't. So that's how you would do this. And that's how you would do that same thing that's available in the SFC app on InControl.
And yeah, basically those are the same lists. There might be one or two here or there as this or that's updated, out of sync. But yeah, for the most part, that is the same list.
Yeah, they should be approximately the same, Richard. That sometimes like you have to wait because we can't just update. Sometimes they have to push an update. So they might be queried for the next update cycle. But pretty much it's going to be the same list or very close to it. Because I don't see. One of the things that I didn't see or I saw in the app, I don't see FaceTime here. So I guess that's where, yeah, I don't see FaceTime here. So I'm assuming in the next iteration of, but you could also, and we show this off almost every single time, click the feedback button, and literally you can say, if it's going to show up, maybe. It's supposed to pop up with the tool, and you can say,
we fixed the glitch.
Oh, let me refresh. Feedback. It's trying. Oh, okay. Well, I am in Venus on Peplink University, so I'm going to toss that up to Venus right there. But yeah, if you click the feedback app and say, please add FaceTime, I'm sure they'll add it for you. And if you have other apps, you can use that feedback button. Click the feedback button and say, hey, can you add whatever app? And that helps the community as a whole. Any other questions? If not, we'll call this a good webinar. I think a good webinar. If you have any comments or questions, you can always reach out to peter@westnetworks.com or travis@peplink.com. If you have any suggestions for a webinar that you'd like to learn more about, once again, please reach out to peter@westnetworks.com or travis@peplink.com, and we'd be more than happy to add it to the queue. We're always looking for good topics, and we try to do this the first Tuesday or the second Tuesday of every month is our goal. And so, Travis?
That's it, man. Thanks so much, Peter, as always.
Party. So, well, thank you everybody for joining. Sorry for missing last week. I really appreciate everybody for joining today. And this we'll publish this online here shortly. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, folks. Take care.